morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Information Day on Architecture, Engineering and Construction. This part of the session will focus on the Pathfinder Challenge, Architecture, Engineering and Construction, Digitalisation for a Novel Triad of Design, Fabrication and Materials. This is a Pathfinder Challenge. We had just discussed in an earlier session the Accelerator Challenge. And I want to remind you that this meeting is recorded. So afterwards you can look again at the recording to get all the information that is made available to you today. All the slides and recordings will be available on the event page. And you can also ask questions to the program manager, Frank Mouwen, and the project officer, Remus Iacobescu, who will answer all your questions that you have about this challenge. In order to do that, you should put your questions at Slido, and you should use the event code challenges. So I want to go over the agenda with you. I will do a very brief introduction. Actually, I suspect that many of the participants are similar as the ones that have just listened to the accelerator one, so it will be very brief. But after that, Frank Mouwen, the program manager for this area, he will explain in detail the Pathfinder Challenge on novel triad of design, fabrication and materials. After that, he and Remus will answer all the questions that you have put in the Slido. And then we will have 4 pitches of companies who are interested to participate to this challenge. So this pitching is the beginning of a matchmaking, and hopefully it will help you and others also to find the right partners for your consortium. So the order of the pitching will be that it will be first the company Fibritech, after that iMatch, then Bureau Bouwtechniek, and finally Smart PMO. Each of them will pitch for 3 minutes. At the end of the session, we will have some closing remarks, and then now we can start with the session. So what I would like to say is that here we are in a challenge part of Pathfinder. Pathfinder is early research, potential breakthrough research, but in the challenge, the distinctive feature is that the projects that are selected according to this challenge, that they will work together as a portfolio. And this portfolio will be managed by the program manager, Frank Mouwen. And during this session, we also want to explain what that means, being part of the portfolio. But with this, I hand over to Frank to explain you all about his challenge.
Thanks, Annemarie. Again, we had a session this morning about Accelerator, where I also explained more about how the challenge became to be. The goal of this info session is really to provide some background to the challenge. The legal text you can find in the work program. You can download it from our website. But again, we in this session we have an opportunity to add some flavor to it, and also some pictures to really bring down the spirit of what the challenge is meant to be. We are also answering some of your questions. I'm not in a position here to provide you with feedback about the appropriateness of your individual proposal to this challenge call. So for that, I really would like to encourage you to reach out to your national contact point. Again, the legal basis is the EIC work program. If you click on the QR code, you get to the download page. It's a document I really encourage you to read, also because it explains a lot about how to apply. And also it contains the challenge text as it is agreed on, and I will present to you later on. So now a couple of words about how this challenge came to be, and reflecting back on what is really the issue and the problem with the construction sector, or the architecture, engineering, construction sector, as the sector calls itself. So the EU faces a monumental task to decarbonize and modernize construction sector within 30 days. And the framework for that is really that the EU committed to a net zero by 2050 with the European Green Deal. And this, includes transitioning and electrifying the power systems, but it also means that the architect, engineering, construction sector needs to decarbonize, which is still, let's say, 8, 10, 12% of the EU total. So quite a lot. Now, if you include operational carbon, it's even more than that 12%, but we make good progress with operational greenhouse gas emissions. However, with embodied greenhouse gas emissions, we both see a relative and absolute increase still. Now, some said, I believe it was the great ventures of Bill Gates that will also invest in our sector, that we have to build 1 New York City per month for the next 40 years. And this is really to bring down the immense scale of the sector, right? I borrowed this picture from the Visual Capitalist website, and it is from a couple of months ago, reflecting on the fact that for the first time, human anthropogenic material has been larger than the biomass material. And if you look at this stack, you can see that concrete and bricks and aggregates and asphalt, it's all these construction-related materials. It's all the program manager, Frank Mouwen, dealing with this. This is what we try to solve. So I think the message here is also that, just like the car industry wants to transition from fossil fueled cars into electric cars, you don't want to end up with SUVs with very large batteries, right? So we want to create and help the sector to decarbonize, but we also want to do something about this sheer amount and the sheer volume of the materials being used. Now, this is kind of the core slide. I showed it in the earlier session as well. It's really touching down on the paradigm shift we would like to invoke. So an entrepreneur I met a while ago, and he's developing algorithmic design tools. He mentioned to me that nature uses very few materials in endless complex ways, but humans use many materials in simplistic, wasteful ways. And beyond this slide, he added to this comment that his hope or his expectation for his algorithms would be that the ultimate embodiment of his algorithms may even approach the sophistication of nature. So to contrast this, really on the left-hand side, I use a butterfly wing, which is inspiring in all dimensions you look at it, because every zoom level you zoom in, you get another hierarchical structure of material allocation. So nature uses this hierarchical structuring of materials, and most fascinating is really at the lowest level, so the nanoscale level, the ASML chip manufacturing level. You see these gyroid structures, and these gyroid structures interact with the wavelength of light in different ways. So a black butterfly will have a different nanostructure as a red butterfly. Now, if we contrast that with the way we build a typical job site on the right-hand side, temporary formwork, which is thrown away after use, reinforcement bars, and a lot of concrete poured into place. I think we can, and we have to do better than that. We have to embark on this paradigm. And I think the key to this paradigm for us, and nature has its own ways, but for us, it's going to be an embracing of computational design, digitalized fabrication, in order to use less and or enable alternative materials. So those three belong together. I will repeat those three endlessly and tirelessly in the rest of the presentation, but those three belong together. It's kind of a triage of activities. And later on the portfolio considerations, I will reflect on it again. I can make the same slide in a different way. On the left-hand side, you see nanostructured materials in the bio world, and on the right-hand side, you see our state-of-the-art slab and column constructions we make to build our buildings. So the whole idea really is to invoke this paradigm again, and we want more of the left and less of the right. And in the accelerator session, we saw that quite a number of startups are really moving away from the right-hand side of this slide. With the Pathfinder, I really want to go all in, right? We really want to touch and go way beyond the state of the science and really capture this essence and of our material expression in a computational design and digitalized fabrication in order to enable the alternative materials or radically reduce our consumption of the existing materials. So there's a historic pathway as well. I think we really have to use what we have as well. Still on the left-hand side is the largest unreinforced concrete structure in Rome. Then we had a long period of stone stereotomy where the stonemason and the designer worked very closely together to make really sophisticated structures using local materials. Then we had 100 years of cheap fossil fuels and very cheap concrete production, which served us well. But there's CO2 emission, which we need to do something about. And I think the logical next step is really to embrace this computational design, digital fabrication, and move on and move away, and maybe say goodbye to some of the habits we had from the past and move into a new future. So the next 3 slides is really reflecting on the text of the work program. So background and specific objectives and expected outcomes. You can read the text again by downloading the document, which is the legal basis and is providing you as a reference always. But what try as a background, this challenge seeks to develop research and early innovation with a breakthrough potential related to the design, fabrication, and materials for the architecture, engineering, construction value chain, enabled by novel algorithms at advanced digitalisation. In such a value chain, are the design and the fabrication and the materials are exactly, that's the word I was looking for, symbiotic and mutually dependent and mutually also enabling. And this combination can enable designers, architects, and engineers and fabricators to imagine, design, optimize, create complex, efficient structures in a digitized pathway in response to ever more ambitious requirements of climate neutral, sustainable, inclusive, aesthetic, and inspiring buildings. Now, specific objectives are really that we try to embrace the potential of a digitized, mutually independent, and mutually reinforcing, intertwined, a lot of words, design, fabrication, and materials that can potentially exceed our wildest imaginations. And this is really the area of Pathfinder, right? So it is really pushing the boundaries of what we know and what we can enable. And this challenge seeks realization of disruptive solutions for architecture, engineering, and construction in those 3 areas. Again, computationally design, digitalized fabrication, alternative materials, which are symbiotic to amongst the 3. So we target organizations and collaborative endeavors, no startups, but projects in Pathfinder that are develop ways to actually execute on these visions, and in order to reduce the amount of it and help us to reduce the embodied CO2 emissions to 0, in line with the net zero by 2050 targets. The expected outcomes are a proof of principle and validation of the scientific basis of the breakthrough technology. So this is Pathfinder objectives. We seek for the development and expression of the techno-economical views and economic scalability of the technology. So it's okay to develop a scientific inspired solution on a lab scale, but we would also like you to reflect on what is the reality of the future reality of the architecture, engineering, construction value chain, which uses quite larger dimensions, and this is a commercial reality as well. I don't ask you to solve that right now, but we ask you to reflect on a future pathway on this. So proposals are expected to demonstrate interdisciplinarity, collaborative processes, and to create critical interactions between the disciplines. And I'll reflect on that later also with some thoughts on the portfolio considerations. This is not an EIC project, but I just want to put examples from the scientific literature where I think, maybe could inspire you to think how this challenge came to be and what we tried to achieve. This is suspended printing, right? Printing doesn't always have to be a robot arm with an extruder. It can also be new ways of fabricating, new ways of creating this 3D structured material allocation. On the right-hand side, you see a deeply topology optimized bridge element, which was built using this technology. Again, this is not an EIC supported project, but this is the direction I'm thinking. Another last example is, I came across this, I believe it was Philip Block showing this to me a couple of years ago in a conference in Barcelona. It's stuck in my mind since, but this is really using also digitized manufacturing methods in terms of a digitized controlled 3D fabric printer, braiding, knitting, and weaving technologies, sprayed with a very thin layer of concrete, I believe in this case, but also originating in a very deep computational design optimization of the embodiment of this structure. Again, this is not an EIC project. It's just an example from the public scientific space, which reflects on the thinking I have for this Pathfinder Challenge, in architecture, engineering, and construction. Now, a couple of thoughts about how does your process, the process of how the EIC decides whether you will be funded. For Pathfinder, this is different than from Accelerate, because for Pathfinder, we have this notion of portfolio building and portfolio considerations. So you do your submission, and then there will be a two-step process. Step one is really the assessment of each proposal separately, using the criteria as reflected in the work program. But then there comes a second step, which is portfolio considerations. This is also where the role of the program manager comes in. So we'll reflect on this more, but this is really a building out of the ranking more value amongst projects, which were ranked as top, and this will lead to an acceptance of the portfolio projects in the Pathfinder Challenge. Award criteria, I refer to the work program. It's described in detail, but it's about excellence, impact, and quality of implementation with all the thresholds and weights associated to it. Again, apart from the work program, there is another document which is important for you if you consider Pathfinder. It's called the Challenge Guide. It's a separate document where we reflect on what I'm going to tell you in the next couple of slides, but it describes really the portfolio considerations. If you click on the QR code, you will directly guide it to this document. But the portfolio consideration is really all proposals that meet the threshold defined in award criteria will be considered in step 2. And then a mapping of proposals in the categories stemming from overall goal and specific objects of the challenge. For example, building blocks or subsystems, technical areas, competing technologies, platform application areas are then considered. So a suitable portfolio of proposals will be selected by the evaluation committee by applying portfolio considerations in order to propose for funding a coherent set of projects to achieve expected outcomes and impacts of the challenge. So in my case, if you would download the portfolio considerations, you will also see a table which is specific for architecture, engineering, construction, which are the portfolio considerations categories and subcategories. So, I mean, the Pathfinder Challenge is in its essence with computational design, digitalized fabrication, and materials. It's almost like designed for being a portfolio. So the categories are those three, right? Computational design, digitalized fabrication, and materials. And then I gave a couple of subcategories in the columns, in the respective columns. And I also reflected on those topics in the work program as well. I think you will recognize many, if not most of them, but the sentence in the bottom is really important. So starting from the highest ranked proposal, a portfolio of proposals will be selected based on shared components, complementarities, while ensuring diversity among the selected proposals and coverage of the three categories. So what I would like to, or what we would like to achieve is a balance between those three categories, computational design, digital fabrication, and materials, but also, if possible, between the subcategories, and also in an additional phase to create value by creating these interconnections between those cells. In the end, the objective of all this is to create additional value from all your work and collaborations. Now, in the challenge guides, there's also stipulated that in your proposal you have to add a dedicated work package for portfolio activities with at least 10 person months. Listed there is a couple of bullet points that can reflect on the content of that work packages. I'm running a little bit out of time, so we can reflect on it on the Q&A, and the slides will be available after the presentations. But with that, I would like to open the Q&A session together with my colleague, Remus, who is the project officer for Pathfinder Challenge. So there we go. Okay. We can share, but is the participation of a startup to the consortium compulsory? I would say no, Remus?
No, that's not compulsory.
How are you going to support maximization of industrialization prefab of the construction? Because it's not just to minimize material usage. I'm not 100% sure if I understand the question. So the maximization of the portfolio considerations, it's really about trying to make these interrelationships between the categories and the subcategories. I think that's what I would like to get you as a takeaway for how we do this selection of the portfolio. Yeah, I would like to go to the next question. Yeah, would you like?
Yeah, I can reply to this. So the European Commission supports the formation of consortia for Pathfinder calls by means of its partner search tool in the funding and tender portal. And then for this, you need to also contact your national contact point for additional information and support.
Great. Okay, so how much CO2 do you plan to absorb instead of emit in the EU construction industry? Well, as a program manager, I don't plan anything in this regard. What we have set up is this challenge where we try to really make this paradigm shift in the way we design, the way we make, and the way of the materials we use. The target, the overall, the larger context is the EU legislation, so the Green Deal, net zero by 2050. Probably the answer to your question is also in this word, net zero by 2050. I think realistically, we need to get to net zero, to zero emission in most of the sectors. But unavoidable, we also need to create a net absorption. And I think the construction industry is in an excellent position do that. So in this challenge call, this would probably lead to your innovation in the direction of the proposition of new materials which actually absorb, but there are no targets associated to this. Would you like to take?
Yes, it is preferred to have more partners rather than single entity. What is the common number of partners, I guess, for Pathfinder projects? Well, first of all, you should apply if you have a potential cutting-edge project, and that would contribute to the specific objective of the respective challenge. And it is also important to know that the proposal must meet the general eligibility requirements, as well as specific eligibility requirements for the challenge. And the Pathfinder Challenge supports collaborative or individual research and innovation from consortia or from single legal entity established in member states or associated countries. So it's not preferred as long as you meet the eligibility criteria and you contribute to the specific objective of the respective challenge.
All right. I think next question is for you as well.
Yes. So do consortia with larger representation of member states get priority in evaluation? No. So to be eligible, eligible for funding. So the countries eligible for funding must be from member states of the European Union, the overseas country and territories linked to the member states, countries associated to Horizon Europe, and low and middle income countries.
Do you want to take this one?
How is it possible to monitor the process of various projects in order to join later or start various other kind of cooperation?
I think we have to be pragmatic about this. As a project start in their journey of Pathfinder, it's also the role of both the program manager and the project officer really to kindle this collaboration, right? So we will organize collaborative meetings where the different projects will discuss amongst each other collaborative effort. So how we monitor this? Well, in a hands-on mode, in talking, in asking, in working together with the projects. If your idea fits 100% to one area and little to others, is that desirable, or should we try to adjust the idea to cover two or all these three areas? No, it's not that you have to do all three. It's 1, 2, or 3. But at portfolio level, we would like to have this distribution, as I mentioned, among the topics, and we would like to also have this interrelationship, this symbiotic value creation amongst the projects. So what that physically means is that you have to allocate 10 person months to a work program, work package, and this will also be further defined in discussion with other projects. So if your idea is really 100% in one area and you're not interested or you're not benefiting from any of the other areas, that is not desirable in this way.
Is there some difference in evaluation for small and big companies and for interregional cooperations? No, there is no difference. So again, the proposal must meet the general eligibility requirements. But for information, in case of single beneficiary project, mid-caps and larger companies will not be permitted.
Okay, among the three fields, design, fabrication, materials, is there a prioritization, preferred field, or expected balance? So the answer in the same order, no prioritization, no preferred field, and yes, we would like to achieve a balance of projects, which is the topic of the process of portfolio considerations. I refer to you in the document. Yeah, I'm aware that if you prepare for your portfolio, you don't know who the others are, right? But I think the spirit of this portfolio building is really to be open to encourage collaboration with the other fields outside your core expertise field. So, for example, I'm just on top of my mind. So if you are developing a new computational design algorithm which looks into structured materials. You might express that this leads to very highly, deeply complex designs, which in the end need to be fabricated in some form or the other. And this, if this is not your core business or your core expertise, this would open up really the collaborative work with projects that are actually focusing on this area. Or the other way around, if you are working on a certain material, which is maybe less performing than traditional materials, you would greatly benefit from working together with computational design that enables your materials. I think this is the spirit and the fashion how we think about portfolio. Should the proposal cover all three areas, design, fabrication, materials? Simple answer is no. Can, but not required. Is it better to combine the different subtopics or focus on one or two specific ones? Yeah, what we really try to achieve with the Pathfinder Challenge is cutting edge breakthrough science and breakthrough technologies which will find their way ultimately in an entrepreneurial journey beyond Pathfinder. So I'm really curious about, I'm really interested in your proposition, how to change the construction industry. So smart combination of different subtopics. I want you to submit what you have in mind. I think the answer to this question is the same as the previous answer. If you see that possibility, please by all means, include it. It's not a requirement. If you really can change the paradigm of construction with a single material and put all your focus on that, that is of course also highly appreciated. The next one is for you, Linus.
How do you do multiple applications for the same person's group? Well, as long as the applications are eligible, that is possible. And as long as if they're accepted for funding, there is no double funding. There is no risk of double funding. What is the next deadline if we cannot make it by the 7th of March? Well, not to be confused, the Pathfinder Open with the Pathfinder Challenges. So we are talking about the Pathfinder Challenge. The call opens on 20 June 2023 and closes on 18 October 2023 at 5 p.m. Central European Time.
I would like to add to this just one comment, if I may. So it's important, we didn't reflect on this presentation on this, but in the EIC, the 1.6 billion, 50% is going to open and 50% is going to challenge. If you have a breakthrough idea, we have been talking about the challenge in this session, which allowed me to explain what we mean with this. But if you have a breakthrough idea that doesn't fit the challenge, you still have the opportunity to apply for the open program, right? And really encourage you to do that. Okay.
The vast majority of past funded Pathfinder proposals have an industrial or SME partner. Are these consortia generally favored? No, they are not favored. So the consortia, first of all, should be composed of legal entities, as described in the work program. And maybe, for example, university, research organizations, SME, startups, or natural persons. If the legal entity requirement, it is established and recognized under the national law.
Want to do a Swiss?
Is it possible to request above with a Swiss organization? About the Swiss, I'm not going to touch this point. You should contact your national contact point when the call opens. But about above 4 million euro for challenge, that it's possible as long as it's duly justified. So the EIC foresees as appropriate 4 million euro around approximately. But beyond 4 million, as long as it's duly justified, it may be accepted.
A project related to additive manufacturing and digitalisation. Is it mandatory for the project to be related to architecture construction area? Yeah, we are trying to change the construction industry here. So I would say, yes, we like. Also because we are trying to build up a portfolio for the construction industry. So if you're in additive manufacturing, and focusing on the design of new rocket engines, you probably don't have a very valuable discussion with the people that are really focusing on the construction industry. So the opportunity for you would really be to enter the field of construction with your additive manufacturing and digitalisation technologies.
Is the target more tier 1 or TRL3? Should the applications have already good results in the field? Regarding Pathfinder, be it open or challenge, but we are on the challenge now, not to be confused again with the open. The TRL, so the grant call for proposal, it's addressing technology TRL 1 to 4, and it is expected the consortia have significant advances in TRL at the end of the project.
Is it more advisable to spin out a startup that will lead the Pathfinder project application, or to apply from within an academic context and spin out later? I mean, I love the question because it's already embraced a entrepreneurial spirit and entrepreneurial vector beyond Pathfinder. I cannot advise on this in this session, I would say. I think reach out to your national contact points as well. I mean, it can be both ways. Pathfinder is not, exclusively like accelerator funding startups. I think if you intend to go the entrepreneurial journey, you will need to consider that in the end, your startup needs to have exclusive access or even own the IP which is generated. So that could be a consideration for you to choose one strategy or the other.
Can you apply to the open call in case of rejection, refine the proposal based on the feedback and reapply for the challenge call? Again, not to be confused on open with the challenge. So the challenge has specific challenges. The open, it's a bottom-up approach, while the challenge is top-down. So as long as it meets the portfolio, the challenge consideration, that should be possible. So not the same proposal will not be possible to be submitted since it's a different type of call. Is it possible to resubmit under an open call in case of rejection, or EIC will not fund similar projects once it defined the portfolio? Well, I'm not sure I understand. Will not fund similar projects. Well, of course, as I mentioned also earlier for another question, double funding is not permitted, of course. And to resubmit under an open call in case of rejection, as long as you meet the considerations of the call, that should be possible. And of course, we'll undergo evaluation and all the call specificities.
Is it better to establish a startup based on the project result during Pathfinder or do it during transition? Again, I cannot advise on that in this session. I think if you are successful in getting access to the Pathfinder funding, then most important for us is that you finish the Pathfinder project. And of course, we can, in due time, discuss what would be a good strategy to move on with the technology. Would love to have that discussion. And then, the founding date will be up to you, but will be established then. Yeah. All right, I think we are done with the questions. If there are more questions, always you can ask them. But I think now is the point that we
Thank you.
give the opportunity to a couple of potential applicants to present themselves.
Hello.
Okay, the presentation is on. So, Artyom, who is going to do it?
Tomasz Ciamulski and Artyom Kulachenko.
Thank you. We go.
Yes, I'm Tomasz and I'm founder of Fibritech. We are the part of EIC Accelerator, actually, where we scale the industrial production of totally new light eco-fibrous materials. And we realized that our unique process can also create light and strong materials for construction, but this requires new paths in R&D. So please change the slide to the next one, where we cooperate with KTH on additives to fibrous networks. Artyom, please take over.
Thank you, Tomek. My name is Artyom Kulachenko, and let me guide you through this slide. So depending on the application of our products, we can offer a combination of the properties, including stiffness, strength, fire resistance, moisture repelling, etc. And in Fibritech process, we can use various fiber stocks from regular pulp to waste plant fibers, which means our material always comes eco-friendly on board and with renewable raw materials available within Europe. Well, currently we work on several applications, including packaging, agricultural substrates, and we would like to extend the effort toward construction materials. We already solve issues typical to fiber-based foams, such as dusting, low stiffness. Now we need to address other fundamental demands and regulations, which we plan on doing within this call. Well, working with fibers offers countless possibilities for customization, from source of the fibers, their orientation, cross-linkers, functionalization, and other things. What we also realize how important it is to digitize our R&D effort to achieve faster progress, avoid unnecessary cycles of reiterations, and later communicate with the customers using that. Therefore, we put efforts in digitizing our recipes and aim in bringing the power of data-driven methods to achieve even faster progress in designing our materials within this call. Would you please change to the next slide? Yes. So I'm from Royal Institute of Technology, and we work together with Fibritech to achieve progress in mechanical properties by doing changes on different scales, using combination of testing and advanced simulation from fiber to structural scale. And currently we search for partners interested in joining us in our effort of greening the construction industry and being the early adopters of our technological solution. So please feel free to contact us if you're interested. And that's all for me. Thank you.
Next presentation, please. Ariem.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ariem Alsini from Ghent University, where I coordinate a research platform on digital materials. Today, I would like to bring to your attention 3 research groups at Ghent University, which have a high interest in this call and are open to set up collaborations. First, our Sustainable Structures Engineering Group offers expertise in the 3D printing of sustainable cement-based structures within optimized design and low-impact materials. Moreover, this group also offers expertise in self-healing concrete and the prevention of reinforcement corrosion. Secondly, our Mechanical Engineering Group is currently developing a multi-material topology optimization toolkit. And this toolkit, contrary to the currently available tools, incorporates the coupling between thermal and mechanical fields. This toolkit is also applicable to large 3D dimensional structures, making it a very promising tool to develop and design novel building materials and structures. Lastly, Ghent University hosts a world-class micro CT imaging facility that, besides developing their own hardware and software, also has a long track record when it comes to imaging of building materials, including doing very advanced experiments such as in situ experiments on building materials and 4D imaging experiments. Next slide, please. So yeah, with that, I hope I sparked your interest in one of our expertises available at Ghent University. So please do not hesitate to get in touch. My contact details are given here on this slide. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And next presentation is Nadia.
Hello, everybody. Do you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Okay, I'm sorry. So I'm Nadja from Bureau and I'm presenting Bureau Bouwtechniek. BB is an architectural company with an accent on digital design founded in 1995. Our goal, contribute to a high quality built environment. Today, we work with 95 on specific defined topics, as you can see on this slide. We work all over Belgium, but we cross the borders to participate in innovation projects or in research teams, to gain and to share knowledge and to create progression in our discipline on a bigger scale. Besides responding to the evolving knowledge and incorporate new disciplines, digitalisation has been deployed as a necessary support for an optimum design and construction process. Paulus embodied the BIM working methodology in our daily work. Today, our mission is to inspire to design, build and maintain more correctly in a human atmosphere.
So next slide, please. Thank you. For the last 2 decades, we have been involved in some of the largest scale architectural projects in Belgium and have been developing BIM models for those projects in collaboration with all the other partners since 2009. We use those BIM models to develop and coordinate the entire design and get detailed quantification, geometrization, and documentation of all the composing assemblies. We develop these BIM models together with the partners mostly in the Autodesk ecosystem, Revit, BIM 360, the construction cloud, but are also proficient and experienced in working with and collaborating via the Open BIM IFC format. We think that the data present in those historic BIM models now represents a rich knowledge base that can be assessed and used for future research, machine learning, benchmarking. For example, at the moment, we are exploring the opportunity to predict or make an early assessment of sustainability scores of to-be-developed projects in the early project stages, maybe even the programming stage, without the availability of a developed detailed design based only upon the big data of calculated sustainability scores of the historic projects and the comparison of key features via machine learning algorithms and pattern detection. This way, we would be able to steer government assignments for projects in a fundamental way towards better sustainable projects. We are furthermore constantly on the lookout for new opportunities to integrate our digital designs tighter with the actual or future production and materialization processes of which this call is talking. For that reason, we would like to thank you for the opportunity to present ourselves here, and we are looking forward to get to know maybe some of you and maybe even collaborate in the future. Thank you for the attention.
Thanks a lot. Next presentation, it is for Smart PMO, and Hussein will present it. Hussein?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity again. My name is Hossam Jerbi. I am from Smart PMO, an artificial intelligence startup based in Ireland. We specialize in building advanced artificial intelligence solutions to optimize complex processes and solve project management challenges in the construction and engineering industry. So we have built since 2017 the first world platform that uses artificial intelligence to analyze construction project schedules and provide risk assurance and predictability for large construction projects. So our team combines international AI and technology experts who worked in multinationals such as Facebook, Google, Oracle, and also we have on board construction subject matter experts. And we are interested in the problems of productivity and sustainability in construction and engineering that have been around for a while in this industry. And given our AI experience, we strongly believe that AI can help advance solutions to these problems, help optimize, for example, materials and work from design to building, and then it can help predict carbon impact for building a project, any building project with confidence, and then provide more assurance when it comes to the planning of the projects from carbon emission perspective. So we know there are lots of data out there, and with new advanced AI technologies, it can learn from this data and can provide more accurate simulations when it comes to carbon benchmarking and predictions to optimize the productivity and reduce carbon emissions. So this type of solutions that we are interested in could benefit different parties who are involved in the design and building of residential, but also commercial buildings, schools, hospitals, and different construction sectors. So it could benefit the asset owner, whether it's a government agency or a local authority or private developer, but also it could benefit designers, architects, general contractors and builders, and engineering and project management consultancies. So if you would like to help solve the sustainability and or the productivity problems in construction and engineering, please reach out to us. We have a highly qualified team of AI experts, and we have successfully solved construction problems using AI before. So just drop us an email at info@smartpmo.io. Thank you.
Thank you. This was the last presentation, and we switch off back.
Right, back. Hey, thanks for those presentations. Really interesting. Great opportunity to do that. I'm not sure in the background, which I cannot see, if there are any questions in the meantime during the presentations. There are not? No?
No, not displayed.
Oh, okay, not displayed. I think we are efficient in time. From my side, I'd like to thank all the people in the audience to listen to the presentations. I hope it made a lot of sense to you. And I leave it up to Anne-Marie to close the session.
Yeah, I also want to thank you for the pictures, but also your attention in listening to this session. So the Pathfinder Challenge, the deadline is still a long way. So we are recording this session so that you can look at it afterwards as well. So if you have any further questions, which no doubt when you start preparing your application, they will come, please contact your national contact point or the research inquiry service, but not directly the program manager, because the program manager cannot provide further information on an individual basis to all of you. But of course, this whole vision has been explained in this session, so probably rewatching this recording will also help you then. So thank you very much for your attention, and we hope to receive many proposals in this area because it's really needed to make a change in this sector. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.